Access to justice, closer to persons with disabilities. The United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities recognizes the human rights model, prescribing that the states parties shall ensure that persons with disabilities have access to justice on equal basis with others, including through the provision of procedural and age-appropriate accommodations in order to facilitate their effective role as direct and indirect participants in all legal proceedings. They shall also promote the training of those who work in the administration of justice. The United Nations 2030 Agenda reinforces the importance of guaranteeing access to justice for all human beings, building effective institutions. Officials of the courts and tribunals shall assume an active role in guaranteeing access to justice for persons with disabilities, for which they should respect their individual autonomy, including the freedom to make their own decisions. A third party should never decide for them. Promote and facilitate diversified supports for the exercise of their legal capacity, respecting the rights, will, and preferences of persons with disabilities who use them. Eliminate infantilizing or welfarist treatment. Guarantee full accessibility to physical spaces and facilities of the courts and tribunals of justice. Ensure access to information and communications in a clear, precise, and timely manner, using accessible formats such as Braille, audio, large print, color contrast, text in plain language and easy to read, among others. Know and use at least the basic level of sign language for general services. For judicial proceedings, such as a statement or a hearing, the judiciary must have professional sign language interpreters from the respective country. Promote digital accessibility, regularly modernizing and updating the technologies available in courts and tribunals. Guarantee procedural accommodations, for example, by having preferential times for hearings or allowing rest periods after a statement is made, among others. It is a right of persons with disabilities to attend with trusted companions when requested. Promote direct communication, practicing active listening to persons with disabilities by the officials and addressing them directly and not their companion. Ensure an environment of trust and security where the persons with disability express themselves freely, safeguarding their pace and forms of interaction. Eliminate prejudices and stereotypes in relation to the various types of disability. Ensure due diligence in the processes, prioritizing the attention, processing, dictation, and execution of judicial resolutions in which persons with disabilities are involved. Make available and effectively implement the preferential attention modules with accessible information on judicial procedures, services, and orientations in relation to the physical space of the courts and tribunals of justice. Ensure the availability of accessible complaint mechanisms for persons with disabilities to complain about specific situations in which they have not had adequate access to justice due to non-compliance with their procedural guarantees. Encourage the contribution of organizations of persons with disabilities to guide the judiciary regarding their access to justice, procedural adjustments, accessibility, and reasonable accommodations for persons with disabilities. Courts and tribunals shall implement effective supervision to guarantee adequate access to justice for persons with disabilities. For further information, consult the practical guide, Access to Justice, Closer to Persons with Disabilities. Produced by the Special Envoy of the Secretary-General of the United Nations on Disability and Accessibility, María Soledad Cisternas Reyes.